I want to start by saying that while the work of conquering chaos is sort of never ending, there are a few things that are very doable, and that if we're intentional, we focus on them, they can make a huge difference in the way we build our businesses and in turn the way that we're able to live our lives. And so I know in over 2 decades of working with entrepreneurs, I know that the challenges of getting pulled into the business can be very, very overwhelming, and at times can cause you to make sacrifices or subtly engage in trade-offs that may not be what you wanted down the road. And so my passion and my work is helping entrepreneurs to have that great business and great life. So we're going to talk about that today. So let me ask you this as we get started. How many of you, when I say chaos in running a small business, how many of you can identify with maybe what that means a little bit? Just raise your hand if that's the case. All right. And many of you work with clients who are in chaos, and they're looking to you to come help them address that chaos. So we're going to talk about that, but in particular, we're going to talk about 2 of the keys. Okay. So I hope that as you get an opportunity to read the book, it will not only help you to identify how you can practice these keys, but it will show you the strategies that smart and accomplished entrepreneurs have sometimes stumbled upon over time and sometimes have been guided to it. But I really took all the things that we've learned over more than 2 decades in working with lots of different advisors, lots of different coaches, consultants, and in particular, working with tens of thousands of businesses. So you are going to learn a lot as you read it in terms of how you can balance and get that great business and great life, and that's the purpose. But the way that it's broken down is there are 6 keys. And so those 6 keys are a mindset for success. It all starts with the mindset. You know, I was very blessed. I had a dad, also Clate, as you know, and he was a positive mental attitude guy. He's a teacher. And he was always talking to me about my mindset. And as a teenager, you know, I wasn't really into what Dad was telling me about all these things. But as I got into business, I started to see how wise he was. And these names that he would talk about, you know, Napoleon Hill and Zig Ziglar and these people that he would tell me about, it started to really make a lot of sense as I began reading things like Think and Grow Rich and The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale and others. And I've come to recognize in entrepreneurship that what my dad was trying to teach me in all those years was so spot on that it starts in our minds, and the way that we think about our work has everything to do with what ends up happening out in the world that we create. And so we absolutely start with mindset. And I go into great detail on that in the book, and I provide strategies for how to apply that in the everyday fire of life as an entrepreneur. And let's face it, you can feel like you're in a firefight, and that mindset can feel like it's constantly under assault. So that's the first key. The second key is getting a vision for your life that the business can fit into. Now, this is really interesting. I was just talking to Robin backstage a little bit ago, and you know, as we're building a business, a lot of times it becomes, we get so focused on the numbers and on the goals and the things we're trying to accomplish, and our ambition really drives us. And sometimes even, you know, I've seen with very successful entrepreneurs, you kind of get to a certain level, and it actually begins to lose its meaning in some ways. And believe it or not, even when people will get to very high apexes of success in terms of the business production, there's a lot missing from the life. And it's because there wasn't a way for the business to fit into the life vision. And so the life is always kind of following what's going on in the business. And it happens very gradually and subtly, but it does happen. It's the natural thing that occurs. And so the second thing coming out of mindset of success is getting that vision for your life that the business can fit into. And by the way, when you do that, now all of a sudden the vision of life is feeding the business, and it becomes really powerful. And then the business starts to feed the vision for life, and it's a really cool cyclical way of growing the business. So once you've got that vision, the next thing is how you execute to that. And as you know, in business, getting your goals and getting things broken down so you have long-term and then annual and then quarterly and monthly, and everything is driving toward your goals in your business. It's a very effective way to execute the business. And, as you've heard Robin talk about how you get focused and how you start to drive on the goals and execute in that way, well, it's also true in your life vision. There's actually a rhythm of execution that is a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual way of doing this. Now, sometimes when I say this, people will go, entrepreneurs and especially, probably, maybe not as much as this crowd as MSPs. Sometimes the more artful types as entrepreneurs will say, I don't want to be held down by some kind of, rhythm that I've got to follow. And I said, no, you're missing it. Rhythm is beautiful like music, and you get to create it the way you want. And when you get a rhythm to execute your life vision, it's not rigid and commanding your life. It actually becomes beautiful and poetic, and the way that you're able to do it and execute it becomes amazing. And so I'm a huge advocate of the way that we as human beings tend to operate in a habitual way or even an autopilot way, but we can use that in a really powerful way in our rhythm of execution. So the third key is rhythm of execution, and it's about helping you to achieve those life goals. Now, you'll notice that those first three keys are on the personal side. And as I said, success for entrepreneurs, as I've learned and studied over more than 2 decades, is both success in the business and in the personal life. So I describe it as balanced growth in your business and personal life. Those first 3 keys are the personal keys. The next keys are about your business. And it starts with strategy. It starts with getting very clear on your purpose, your values, your mission as a company, and getting that right, and then creating that customer strategy that comes out of the company strategy so that you can execute to that customer strategy. The 5th key, automating the business and automating as much of the business as you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, the cause of the chaos is there's way too many things to get done in the hours that we have. That's just life as small business. So when you think about automation, you have to recognize that it's the way to put more hours into your day. It's the way to actually get out of that trading hours for dollars, but actually having a way to get more done. And the more that you can automate in the business, the more that you conquer the chaos. So that's the 5th. And then the 6th one is leadership and culture. And we're big believers in this at Keep. I know Robin is. She and I have talked about this quite a bit, and she's shared a bunch with you about how to build a team and how to lead that team in an effective way, consistent with purpose, values, and mission. There's a way to do that. In the book, I talk about each of these keys and how you apply them to overcome the chaos, to get rid of that feeling of just kind of being on that treadmill, just running like crazy and feeling like you're trying to keep up.